Konbanina, Proto-moto, and welcome back to another deck profile. It's been a while, hasn't it, huh? Today I have Adixters, and pretty much I'll be going over the main deck, side deck, and extra deck. So we got this Field Center card as well, as the reward for making top 8. Alright, so let's start off with the main deck monsters. I'll be going like monster by monster to make sure that I'm just explaining things properly. So first off, we play 3 copies of Achichi. The reason being we want to play 3 is because this is our monster searcher, and this will basically get us any of our copies of whatever we're missing. So it could be our Picari or our copy of Doyan, and so on and so forth. Next up, we play 3 copies of Picari. Reason being is that, okay, open this up first, add a I Meet You spell to your deck to hand, and then go into your Infinite Adixter to grab the field spell. Next up, 2 copies of Doyan. Reason why you play 2 copies of this is because you kind of want to see it in your hand. You kind of sort of don't want to see it in your hand. That's why I played 2, because a lot of other deck lists I found online played 1. I was like, not really my style, so I decided to play 2. Next up is Gachari Adixter. This is one of the other one-ofs that we play, so this one basically just it's a free special summon. Just if you have something on board, you negate the effect of the Cyber's monster, and then you special summon this out. And then next up is Ciari. Like again, another summon to go either into your big boy, the Arrival. Same thing with the Doshin, just another resources. You play 1 copy of Baruru because you don't really want to see this in your hand because it's kind of a dead card. And also, it's really good for dumping this card right here, Dunmari Adixter. Dunmari allows you, when you have a linked 6 monster on the field, allow you to banish it from your graveyard and target 1 face-up card on the field and negates effects. So this actually is a quick effect. So, if, for example, if your opponent activates a trap card, you could banish this, negate that effect, and then they'll go and then it'll be negated. All right. The only generic Cyber monster we play is 1 copy of Backup Secretary. The reason being is just like it's a better special summon than you really think, and it did come in handy when playing a couple games against Dinos and Sword Soul. Alright, so moving on from the main those monsters, next up are our hand traps. We have 2 copies of Nibiru. Reason being is that you really want these in the deck for either going second or having it in the deck because you need to activate Cross-Out Designator, because Cross-Out Designator only allows you to send from main deck to main deck. Next up, we play 2 copies of Effect Veiler. Pretty standard Effect Veiler stuff, just like say no. Ash, 2 copies of Ash, and then basically you just stop their draw for the turn, or from their effects. So these are the ones that you would have flex spaces in. So you could, for example, like if they're going to side and draw, right, I'd take out 2 of these ashes or 1 of these ashes just to put in 1 draw, because a lot of times what happens is that you'll most likely open up with Crossout in hand majority of the time when I saw it in games, because I play 3 copies of Crossout, so, but that's up to you. So this is where you have the flex space in terms of like moving out of your hand trap. So you can replace Effect Veilers, you can replace the Nibiru. The reason why we play the Nibiru and the Ash is because a lot of times this deck will die to Nibiru when your board gets cleared before you make your arrival. It's really hard to come back from that. Okay, moving on to spell cards, we play 2 copies of I Meet You. This is really good just for searching out your other copy of the card. Just remember that when playing that you will need to summon the revealed monster from your extra deck, or you'll take 2300 effect damage. Next up, we play 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. This is just general back row removal. I didn't really want to play the Adixter Wing Pegasus inside the extra deck because it wasn't really that great, and it's kind of a waste of resource, and then I'll show you what I chose instead. Next up, we play 1 copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is just good just because if you get Ash, you can say Called by the Grave and then keep going with your combos, because like I said, this deck will die to Nibiru and Ash. We play 1 copy of AI Contact. This is just your kind of reshuffle back in the deck. So basically, if you have 2 copies of your AI land, each shuffle 1 back to the bottom of the deck, and then draw 3 cards, which is really good. Next up, we play 2 copies of Idle Reborn. Idle Reborn allows you to bring back any next turn monster, actually. So you could I did actually use this to target my Arrival Cyberse to bring it back to my board, and then pop and get a token and go into link combos. Well, this is really nice because it's like a free, basically a Monster Reborn in a nutshell, and then you can banish this card from your graveyard. and add one of the AI spells from your graveyard to your hand, which is really nice. Next up, this is kind of like where the budget kind of ends, where you're playing 3 copies across the Designator, because, like I said, this deck dies into be really, really bad, so definitely need to pick copies of this up. Next up, we play 3 copies of Silent Mining. Silent Mining is really, really needed, because if you have Damari in hand and you have Silent Mining, I'd rather have that Damari inside the graveyard already, so I don't have to waste a Baruru or something like that, or any of the other like resources to get that forward, so I already have it in there, and this will just give you a general good +1. Next up, we play 3 copies of Ignister Island. Ignister Island is our main field spell. There's multiple ways to switch this out. You have Dark Infant and you have Picari, so there's no really need to play Terraforming whatsoever in this deck, which is great. Next up, we play 3 copies of Triple Tactic Talents, and then this is basically just for your standard Ash, Droll, and other stuff like your Steel Monster. This is really more prominent going second, so if you go second, during the second game, you can take one of these out and replace it with another hand trap, which is also another good option about this deck. And finally, play 2 copies of Imperm. Reason being is that there's not really much room, because we already put out some decent negates in terms of like having Damari on the inside the graveyard, as well as having a couple of other things like the like our copy of Crossouts and stuff like that, and Call by the Grave. So I didn't really see that much point of running 3 Imperm, so 2 is a good ratio. Alright, so moving on to the extra deck. So first off, for Xyz monsters, we're playing 1 copy of White Dragon Annexer. This is just generic removal. You pop up, detach 1 to pop up to the number amount of Annexer monster control. Next up, we play Cyber's Quantum Dragon. This is my replacement for Wind Pegasus, because this has a better bounce effect during the damage step, or during battle phase actually, so you're basically able to just bounce your opponent's monster back to hand. Next up, for the ring, and after this is just Link monster stuff, so these are the only 2 like non-Link monsters you play. Next up, we play 1 copy of Link Spider, really good if you get Nibiru, or you have a token for your from your rival. So basically what you do, use your token to go into Link Spider, then you're able to go into your combo plays if you do have your island out on the field. Next up, we play 2 copies of Splash Mage. Splash Mage is really good because it allows you to bring back a resource, so you can go into Link 3s or Link 4s if possible. Next up, Cyber's Wicked. So what this does, it allows you to get Baru to hand if you switch someone to the field zone it points to. So make sure you're always using the right-hand side on your field zone, and then you should be golden. Next up, play 2 copies of Dark Infant Annexer. Dark Infant Annexer is one of the main ways you'll be searching for Island, because it directly states that it searches for Island, not just like the card, which is a generic AI spell or trap. Next up, we play 1 copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul. This is one of the cards that I changed initially, because I was playing the Phoenix to search out AI your I Meet You, to search out for the red one, and then you also get a draw 1 by paying 1,000 life, which is pretty good too. Next up is Transcode Talker. This allows you basically just to bring back a Cyber's monster in your graveyard, so you go in bigger Link place, which is really nice. Update Jammer for the OTK, basically. Security Dragon for the bounce effect. This actually really came in handy, surprisingly. So I had a Link Spider, and then I had 2 other monsters on the field. I was able to go into Security Dragon and bounce, I think it was like the big Sword Soul boss monster in that deck back to the extra deck, and I was just like, yep, that's good. Next up, we play 1 copy of Dark Templar. This allows you to go into your Rival Annexer, because its effect will allow it to arrive using the very specific combo of actually having this out on the field, and then having one of the other monsters, and then you go into your Dark Infant and activate Chainlink 1 Dark Templar, Chainlink 2 Annexer Infant. You move this over 1, and then you bring back 3 monsters right here of different attributes, so make sure you don't have another Dark on the field, because that will stop you from going to your combos. Alright. And then finally, for the big final 2 bosses are Axis Code Talker for good removal. This definitely came in handy when I play against Dinos. It definitely got a lot of the field out of the way. And then finally, your Towers monster, the Rival Cyber's Annexer. So the Rival is pretty much your Towers monster. It is unaffected by card effects, so if your opponent tries to Nibiru you after this comes to the field, the Rival will not go away. It will be there, and you also get a token, so you just go from Arrival into token, and then also on your turn, you will be able to use the effect of Arrival to pop the Nibiru and then grab another token. Alright, So that's it for the extra deck. Moving on to the side deck. So the side deck's a bit interesting because it's a lot of just cards that like just good for siding. So let's start off with just like the one Imperm, just making 3 copies, another copy of Ash, and then this is where we kind of differentiate. So this is the first copy of Ghost Bell, Haunted Mansion. This is just good against the Tri Brigade plays. Didn't really see a lot of Tri Brigade plays at the local, so didn't just get down to showing. Ghost Ogre, this is just a kind of sort of. It basically is sort of your like second copy of Effect Failure, just because like someone might just run this because it's a cheaper alternative to Effect Failure currently. So this is just good to have just a 1 copy of to like send with Cross Out. Next up is 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet. The reason why you don't play Droplet in the main deck right now is because a lot of the recursion stuff isn't that great. So you do need to have like things set up properly if you want to run this inside that deck. But I just don't like running it because it just kind of empties your hand slightly and you're not able to do as much as your combo as you would like to. Next up, we have 3 copies of Lightning Storm. This is also where it kind of breaks the bank because Lightning Storm is pretty expensive right now. I think it was like $50 to $60 per copy. So we play 3 of these, and basically this is just really good removal for front row and back row. Against dinosaurs, really good. I top decked 2 of them. First one got negated the activation, and I was like, oh, second copy, and then there's like scoop, and then we went to game 3, which is really nice. We also have another copy of Nibiru just to make the 3 copies to playset. We playset a Droll because sometimes Ash is expensive and Droll is somewhat expensive, but it is what it is. So this is also a good target for your. It's good against Sword Soul specifically because that's also one of the games that I went to almost game 3 with. Because I stopped the initial draw off the Moyi when they got synchroed. And then next up we play Avermax because it's just like general like wall. It's pretty decent and you can use anything because like you will have most likely 2 or more because there's also just combinations from like Splash Mage into like and there's another Link 2 that you brought back from the graveyard into the Link 4, so this is really nice. And then you have the 1 copy of Pegasus Addingster. The Addingster is just really there for back removal if you really need it. So like for example, if you play against Eldritch, stuff like that, you side this in game 2 and you're gold. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile. I had a really fun time with this deck. This is one of my favorite decks because this is one of the decks that I tried to take to locals before COVID, before everything shut down. So that was like when the Ignition itself came out, and now I'm having a lot of fun with it. So thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. All right, so sayonara.